Welcome to the Risk Wheelhouse, the podcast where we navigate the ever-changing seas of risk management and technology. Join your hosts, Ori Wellington and Sam Jones, as they steer you through the latest trends, insights, and strategies shaping the future of integrated risk management. Ready to chart a course towards success? Hop aboard and let's set sail into today's deep dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We dig into the stories shaping our digital world. And today, well, we've got one that really hits close to home about hidden risks. We're looking at a recent cyber campaign, but maybe not the kind you first think of. This wasn't about brute forcing a main entrance. Instead, attackers exploited trust between apps, using one to unlock another. And it hit some huge names: Cloudflare, Palo Alto Networks, Proofpoint.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study. It's like someone getting a copy of your valet key, and using it not just to drive the car, but to access the glove box, maybe the trunk system, and then cleverly erasing the car's trip log.
Exactly. Pretty sneaky stuff. So today, we're exploring how this tech called OAuth, which is actually meant to make things safer, became the weak point. It wasn't a flaw in a big platform like Salesforce itself. The experts are calling it a failure of integration hygiene. That sounds clinical.
It does, but it points to a real problem. And our mission today is to unpack how this attack actually worked, see the ripple effect it had, and crucially, lay out a framework, integrated risk management, or IRM, to help you understand and defend against this. We're drawing on a key article, When Tokens Turn Toxic, the SaaS Domino Effect, plus insights from companies directly involved, like Cloudflare, Proofpoint, Okta, and others who confirmed impacts or defenses.
Okay, let's dive in. Passwords. Most people get those. Type it in, you're in. Simple. But tokens, these are kind of the invisible keys doing work behind the scenes. Open authorization. That's the tech.
That's the one. Think of it as the system allowing apps to securely interact on your behalf without you handing over your main password, like giving a specific limited use key card, not the master key.
Okay, limited use key card, I like that. But there are different types of these tokens, aren't there?
Yes. Fundamentally, three key parts to understand. First, you've got access tokens. These are short-lived. Think maybe an hour. They let an app make specific API calls for you right now.
So the do this specific thing now token, what happens when it expires after an hour? Do I have to log in again everywhere?
Good question. That's where refresh tokens come in. These are much longer lived. Their job is basically to request new access tokens silently behind the scenes when the old ones expire. It means the app keeps working seamlessly for you without constant logins.
Right. So that keeps things smooth. And the third piece?
That's scopes. Scopes define exactly what permissions that token grants. Can it read contacts? Can it write opportunities? Can it only manage support cases? It's about limiting what the app can actually do. Least privilege, ideally.
Okay, so Oath should be more secure, no password sharing, limited permissions. It sounds great on paper, a real step up. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? In reality, this creates this huge tangled web of machine connections, app talking to app.
Exactly. And that complexity is the attack surface.
Mm-hmm.
In this specific incident, attackers went after Drift's integration tokens. Drift being a popular web chat tool, Once they compromised those tokens, they could essentially impersonate Drift or other trusted apps connected via Drift to access Salesforce data in multiple companies.
Impersonate Drift. Wow.
And the speed was alarming. They used Salesforce's bulk API in at least one case that's built for handling massive data volumes to just vacuum up thousands of case records super fast.
And then the kicker.
And then, they deleted the logs for those actions,
right,
covering their tracks completely.
So back to your analogy. The valet key gets copied, they use it to rifle through the car systems, grab stuff, and then wipe the security logs inside the car. You might not even know they were there for a while. It's unnerving.
Very.
And this wasn't just one company hit, right? You mentioned Cloudflare, Palo Alto Networks, the impact spread. What did that look like?
It spread significantly. Cloudflare, for example, was quite public. They found attackers got into their Salesforce case objects. And here's the really eye-opening part. Inside those case texts, they found 104 of their own API tokens just embedded there. Plain text, basically.
Wait, 104 API tokens just sitting in support case notes? How does that even happen?
It points to what the article calls opaque data flows. Sensitive data ending up in places it really shouldn't, probably without anyone realizing it until it's too late. All those tokens had to be rotated, obviously.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Unbelievable. What about the others? Proofpoint.
Proofpoint confirmed unauthorized access too. They took decisive action, actually removed the Drift integration entirely after Salesforce disabled the connector across the board. Palo Alto Networks and Zscaler also confirmed some CRM exposure, mostly limited to business contact details and case data, they said.
So a range of impacts, but wasn't there one company that managed to stop it? Okta.
Yes, Okta is a really important counterexample here. They reported they successfully blocked the attempts.
How? What did they do differently?
Their key defense was enforcing inbound IP restrictions. Basically, they had rules saying only allow connections from these specific trusted IP addresses. So even if the attacker had a valid token, they couldn't use it because they weren't coming from an approved location.
So a network-level control actually stopped the token abuse. That raises a big question. Are other companies just not doing that? Or is it complex?
It can be complex to manage, especially with lots of integrations, but Okta's case shows it's a powerful, proactive defense. It's not just about the token itself, but also how it's allowed to be used.
And Salesforce reacted quickly too, right? They shut down the drift connector.
They did. On August 28th, they disabled the connections platform-wide and pulled the app from their marketplace. Swift action on their part.
It really drives home the point. Even huge companies with top-tier security aren't immune if their third-party connections create a vulnerability. Makes you think about your own dependencies, doesn't it? Now, the article calls this the SaaS Domino Effect. That sounds dramatic, but it feels right. Why isn't this just a single breach? What makes it a domino effect?
It's a domino effect because of underlying structural issues in how we connect SaaS apps. It's not just one bad token. It's how the system allows that one bad token to knock over other things. There are a few key factors. First, over-permission connectors. We talked about scopes earlier. Well, often apps ask for way broader permissions, bigger scopes than they actually need.
So like a calendar widget asking for permission to read and write all my emails?
Exactly like that. It gets far more access than necessary. If compromised, the damage is much wider. Second factor, refresh token sprawl. These long-lived tokens often just hang around. They might not expire for months or years or sometimes never unless actively revoked. That gives attackers persistent access once they get one.
Okay, so overly broad permissions and tokens that live forever. What else?
Third, those opaque data flows we saw with Cloudflare. Sensitive stuff like API keys accidentally getting logged or embedded in places like CRM case text or attachments. Data flowing out of sight, out of mind until it becomes a liability.
The hidden data problem.
Right. And finally, there's vendor asymmetry. Your own security might be Fort Knox, but if you connect to a vendor whose security is, shall we say, less robust, well, that's your weak link. Attackers target that asymmetry.
And that's what happened with Drift, essentially. Attackers potentially saw them as a softer target to get into these other big enterprise systems.
That appears to be the pattern, yes. It's a supply chain vulnerability.
And the truly scary part, the real domino aspect, is how that initial breach in one app, like Drift, could cascade. They get into Salesforce, find an API key for, I don't know, your cloud infrastructure.
Exactly.
And suddenly, the breach pivots from SaaS CRM data to potentially compromising core infrastructure. That's the nightmare scenario. One domino knocks over the next, leading to a much bigger disaster.
That's the essence of the SaaS Domino Effect. One compromised connection becomes the key to unlock entirely different, potentially more critical.
Are you ready to see risk management in action? At Wheelhouse Advisors, we've launched a new YouTube channel dedicated to integrated risk management. You'll find quick explainers, insights from our IRM Navigator research reports, highlights from the Risk Journal, and conversations from the Risk Wheelhouse podcast. We're covering the topics that matter most to executives and risk leaders, from AI governance and cyber insurance to operational resilience and regulatory change. Every video is designed to help you anticipate risks, adapt with confidence, and build resilience in a digital-first world. In our first video, we explain how ISO 42001, the EU AI Act, and the NIST AI Risk Management Framework can work together as a unified playbook for AI risk. Subscribe today at youtube.com/@wheelhouseadv and get the latest insights delivered directly to you. That's youtube.com/@wheelhouseadv. Subscribe now and stay ahead of the risks that matter most.
Systems.
It makes you pause and think, doesn't it? For you listening, consider all those little apps connected to your main systems, your email, CRM, project tools, each one potentially a domino. Right, this feels like a deep systemic issue. So we need a systemic fix. The article proposes integrated risk management, IRM. What is that exactly? Is it just more compliance paperwork?
No, and that's a key point. IRM isn't just a checklist. It's really a framework, a way of thinking to tackle this structural failure in managing machine identities, these tokens, and all the SaaS dependencies. It's about applying an integration lens across the whole organization, looking at how these systems connect and the risks they create together, not just in isolation.
An integration lens. Okay, so how does that work day to day? The article mentioned an IRM navigator model with different layers. Break that down for us.
Sure. Think of it in layers. At the base, you have technology risk management, TRM. This is the technical stuff, the nuts and bolts. It means knowing what you have, a full inventory of all OAuth apps, tokens, their scopes, who owns them. Enforcing short lifespans for tokens, making sure they have only the minimum necessary permissions, and deploying tools like SSPM SaaS, security posture management, and DLP data loss prevention to actively prevent secrets ending up in places like CRM notes.
So TRM is about the actual tech controls and visibility. Got it. What's next?
Next up is operational risk management, ORM. This is about your processes and your response readiness. How quickly can you react? Like having a documented runbook to revoke and rotate tokens within, say, 2 hours of a vendor incident being reported. Mapping out all those connections, every web widget, every marketing tool, knowing exactly what SaaS platforms they touch. It also includes practical things like setting API rate limits so attackers can't use the bulk API to pull huge amounts of data unnoticed, and alerting on weird activity.
Okay, tech controls, then operational process and response. Makes sense. Keep going.
Then you zoom out further to enterprise risk management, ERM. This looks at the bigger picture, the strategic and financial impact. This involves actually modeling the potential cost of these integration pivot scenarios, where a SaaS breach leads to something worse, like a cloud compromise, and then setting clear risk boundaries based on that. For example, a policy might say no single connector can write to more than 2 sensitive data objects without a formal exception, setting real guardrails.
So understanding the business impact and setting top-level rules, what's the final layer?
Finally, there's policy and compliance. GRC, this covers governance, contracts, the rules of engagement, things like updating vendor contracts to require rapid incident notification, maybe 24 hours, and explicit support for token revocation, plus ensuring they keep forensic logs. It's also about moving beyond just annual check-the-box compliance to continuous assurance. Using automation to verify controls are working all the time.
Wow. Okay, so IRM is really comprehensive. It's tech, process, finance, strategy, legal. It touches everything. It's not just an IT problem. It's a business risk problem.
Precisely. It reframes the entire issue. It's about managing these integrations proactively across the board.
And the good news is the article doesn't just say do IRM. It gives practical steps, right? A 30, 60, 90-day plan.
Exactly. It provides a very concrete roadmap to get started, which is incredibly helpful.
Okay, walk us through that. What should someone listening be thinking about for the first 30 days?
First 30 days are about immediate triage and visibility. Get that inventory built. Know all your machine-to-machine identities in Salesforce, other key SaaS apps. Act immediately on known issues like revoke and rotate all drift-related stuff now, given this incident. Enable those inbound IP restrictions wherever you can remember Okta. And actively scan for and clean out any sensitive data, like API keys hiding in places like CRM case text. Get the immediate risks off the table.
Right. Stop the bleeding and figure out what's connected. Then what? Days 31 to 60.
Now you start hardening and building controls. Enforce shorter token lifetimes, TTLs, and really clamp down on permissions least privilege everywhere. Implement those API rate limits and bulk API monitoring we talked about. Get alerted to unusual activity, and importantly, start updating those vendor contracts to include the security requirements you need, like token revocation and forensic logs.
Okay, hardening controls, setting expectations with vendors. What about the final phase, days 61 to 90?
This is about embedding it strategically. Quantify those top integration pivot risks, put potential dollar figures on them, and use that to justify security investments. Start reporting upwards. Publish board-level metrics on token hygiene, how fast you can revoke tokens, detection of data anomalies. Make it visible. And crucially, run tabletop exercises. Simulate a drift-style breach. Test your runbooks, test your teams. See how you actually perform under pressure.
That 90-day plan feels really achievable. It breaks down a big problem into manageable steps. It's about taking back control step by step.
It is. It's a practical path forward.
So wrapping this up, let's reiterate the main point. This whole episode, this whole incident, it wasn't really about Salesforce failing. It was about how organizations manage or fail to manage the connections between their tools, specifically these OAuth tokens. We saw how powerful these invisible keys are, how they can create that shocking domino effect, but also how a structured approach like integrated risk management provides a way to manage that risk.
Exactly. And the specific company examples really paint the picture. Cloudflare finding those 104 API keys shows the danger of data just leaking into unexpected places.
Okay.
Proofpoint's decisive action shows the need to be ready to cut ties. And Okta's success with IP restrictions proves that proactive, sometimes simple-sounding network controls can be incredibly effective at containing the blast radius, even if a token itself gets compromised.
Right. Different outcomes based on different levels of visibility and control.
And that's where integrated risk management really shifts the perspective. When you treat these SaaS integrations as managed assets under this holistic IRM umbrella, linking the tech risk, the operational risk, the enterprise risk, the policy risk, you can genuinely contain these domino effects. You reduce that blast radius and build real measurable confidence that you can handle these inevitable supply chain attacks.
So, the final thought for you, our listener.
Think about your own digital house. What are the invisible keys? The OAuth tokens, the API integrations operating behind the scenes. Where are your hidden dependencies? What potential dominoes are sitting there in your third-party connections just waiting for a nudge? And maybe more importantly, what steps will you start taking, maybe even today, to find them and secure them?
That wraps up another episode of the Risk Wheelhouse. Thank you for spending time with us at Wheelhouse Advisors today. We hope you found the conversation insightful and actionable for your organization's risk strategies. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. If you're looking for more in-depth analysis and thought leadership on risk technology, be sure to visit the Risk Tech Journal at therisktechjournal.com. It's your go-to source for comprehensive articles, expert interviews, and the latest trends shaping the industry. Subscribe today to stay informed. For any inquiries or feedback, please contact us directly at info@wheelhouseadvisors.com, or feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn and x.com and share your thoughts or suggestions for future topics. Visit wheelhouseadvisors.com for more information and resources. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, navigate wisely.